What's going on, guys? So today we're doing another little review, and this time it's of this little guy right here, and this guy is called the FDSstick. It is a Famicom disk system drive emulator, one of these guys if you're unaware. Now this guy was supplied to us by Loopy over at FDScapture.com, pretty neat guy. So what this thing is, as I mentioned, it is a drive emulator. And it has a few cool little features, which I'll get to in a moment. If you are unaware or just don't know or live underneath a rock and you don't know what the Famicom disk system is, here it is right here. It was an accessory for the Nintendo Famicom. And if you still live underneath a rock, the Famicom was the Japanese n.e.s. And it used these little guys right here. And what these are, they are called quick disks. They're not entirely proprietary to Nintendo, even though they do say Nintendo on them. Most people often confuse them with floppies, but they are a different format. And quick disk was around about the same time as floppies when this whole system came out. And sadly, the technology never really took off, so these are kind of hard to find. It would have been awesome if these just used standard floppy disks. It would have been way easier to, I guess you could say, make backups of the games, I guess, or whatever, pirate them, whatever, I don't really care. So this is the disc here, has two sides. I'm not entirely sure how big these are. I'm pretty sure they're a lot smaller than a standard floppy. But yeah, they go in here. Pretty unreliable, as most magnetic media is, just because it's getting old, it gets sort of rotten and stuff, but they are pretty neat looking. Now, this guy, as I just was talking about before, some of the cool features about this one is it just doesn't emulate one of these. It can emulate up to 127.5. Well, this one I've got here can't because it's a review sample. It's got much smaller memory on it. But most of the commercial versions that you come across can. Now, if you're looking to get one, it's going to be advertised as the 128 megabit version. It holds up to 255 sides. And being just like floppies, similar to floppies, they have two sides to a disc. Most games use both sides. Some games don't. Really small games don't. So yeah, you're probably looking about 127 games, which I think is way more than actually came out for the system. But people are still making homebrew for this thing, so yeah, it's pretty neat. This device can also read and write to a Famicom disk system drive like this if you use a special cable. But the only downfall at the moment is it's not compatible with 3206 drives. Now, a 3206 drive is the later revision of one of these, and it's not as easy to mod. You have to use a mod chip in it, and this does not play well with that mod chip. If you've got the older version of the drive, I can't remember the exact number or the model it's actually called, then you can just mod it by cutting a few traces or something like that inside, and you can read and write disks. But yeah, as I said, it doesn't work with the mod chip that's available for the newer drives. So if you do have a modded drive, just keep that in mind if you're planning on using this as a backup device. It's also going to hopefully be compatible with the Sharp Twin Famicom. They are making cables for this one to see if they can get it to work. That's still in development. There hasn't been much new news about that one. It's also compatible with a modified version of the Bung Copymaster software. And that was software they used to back up these discs back in the day. If you're into your old vintage backup hardware, then that's kind of interesting, I guess. Now, on the note of using this to back up physical discs from this system, what you'll need is a 1-to-1 through cable. And you can actually just make these using Nintendo 64 SCART leads because they have enough pins in them. But basically, it's a little cable that goes from, now it's stuck. Yeah, it goes from here and then plugs into here. And they're not too difficult to make, so if you're interested, look it up. So how does this device actually plug into the system? Well, that's a good question. It's really straightforward, and I'll show you in just a bit. Okay, so connecting this little guy to the Famicom is actually dead simple. You don't even need this guy. That's pretty redundant. So if you weren't even looking at even doing backups or even like using the original drive, so if you don't have enough space in your house or whatever, you could just buy this and you could pick up the RAM adapter pack Usually you can get these on their own. Normally that's the system on their own without the RAM adapter, but if you're lucky, or if your system is actually broken, then this is also another cool thing that you could do. So what you do is, again, if you're unfamiliar with how this works, this one goes inside the console where the cartridge goes in normally. And then once you've loaded up your ROMs on here, all you have to do is just plug it in. You don't even have to have this end plugged in. There's a little green LED inside this little guy here that tells you activity if it's loading and stuff. In use, it's pretty straightforward. There's a new firmware update available for this guy, and it includes a menu and everything, so you don't even have to use this little button on here. But we'll just go through it anyway. The little button on front here is to switch sides, or you can also switch or tell it to eject. Because there is no actual physical drive here anymore, you can't really tell. The Famicom doesn't know if the disc is actually ejecting or not. I haven't actually needed that yet, but it's a feature and it works, so I guess it's there for a reason. But anyway, if you just quickly press it just once, that'll switch from A to B on that selected ROM. Okay, yeah, so I just had to double check that one. Now, if you press the disc, press this button just once quickly or twice quickly, it'll switch between A and B on the selected ROM. If you hold it down for a couple seconds and let it go, it should eject the ROM, so the system should reboot back into the ROM selection screen. Otherwise, you just turn the system off and on back on again, and that does the trick as well. Yeah, that's about it really for the actual device itself. It's pretty small, built-in USB, so you just plug it directly into the PC. And yeah, it's nice and small. Mine didn't come with a box. I think it does come with a box when you buy it retail from them. So yeah, it's a single PCB design. It's really small. So let's just take a look at the PC software. Alright, so here's the PC software. So this is what you're going to be using to load images onto the FDSstick. Now, there's two programs available. With the newer firmware, there's only one that actually works at the moment, but you've got this one here, which is FDS.exe. That is a command line loader on there, if you're into your command line stuff. Otherwise, there's a pretty simple GUI right here, so we'll just take a look at this one here. And it loads up the FDSstick, and it tells you how big it is. So we've got 4 megabit one here, I believe it's 4 megabit. So it holds up to 8 sides on there, as I mentioned before. We've got all our things here, so it's pretty straightforward. You can add, remove, save, and then you can save that image you've got there. Now this is handy if you want to, say, make backups of your physical disks, if you've got that all set up to do that, if you've got the correct cable and everything in the correct drive. And then yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So if I want to go add, you go add the ROM you want. You can add the same one twice. So actually, it won't let you add the same one twice. That's interesting. Oh no, it does. And this little bar down the bottom tells you how full it is. Could be a little bit better. It could have like some segments or something in there, so you can actually see how full it is. So let's just go here and we'll just, okay. So to remove them, you can only remove one at a time, but that isn't actually writing to the disk yet. So let's remove all of them here, and then we'll just add one. And this GUI also supports just drag and drop. So we'll just drag in Super Mario Bros. 2 again, and we'll just click write, and then it writes to the FDS itself. And then once it's done, yeah. And then here is, this tab is for backing up. So if we had that special cable, we could also just plug this one into the FDS drive and do a backup that way. If you want to save from here, I believe you can actually save, if the disk supports saving, you might be able to save your actual save games off there. It should write it to the actual FDS file there, so if you want to try and extract it or whatever, but I'm not too familiar with how that works. Also, if you've used like the Bung Doctor backup device copier thing, if you've got one of those and it writes back to this device here instead of actually writing to an original disk, that's another way to do backups, but this is probably the simplest way. All you need is one cable and this device and a disk system and a Nintendo, but you're going to have that anyway, aren't you? So then you can go read and then write if you've got a supported drive. As I said before, drives with a mod chip don't work currently, but that should hopefully be fixed in the near future. Or if you've got the older style drive that doesn't require a mod chip, then you can write the disk that way as well. Let's go take a look at the software itself on the Famicom. Okie dokie, so here we are at the menu screen of the FDSstick, and we've got some ROMs here that we loaded up. Having a few troubles with some of these. I don't know if it's a problem with my RAM adapter or just the ROMs themselves. I'm pretty sure it's just the ROMs themselves. I think they've been patched or something to work better on an emulator. So here we have a copy of Super Mario Bros. 2, which was a Famicom disk system game. So we'll just load that one up. You just hit A to load them. With some of the games, it'll prompt you to switch to side B. So all you'd have to do is just tap the little button on the FDSstick once to get that to go. And here we are on the title screen. So let's just load up a game here. Do a Mario game. Don't want to play green Mario. Play red Mario. Kill him there. Now, first time I played this game, I thought that was a good mushroom, but it's a bad mushroom. And it killed me. Sad face. So now if I just hit reset, it'll just reset the game as if the game was still in the system. It won't load back up to the menu. The easiest way I found around that was to just turn the system off with the power switch and back on again. I don't think it hurts it or anything, so seeing as it's not actually writing to anything there, so alright, so let's just run across here. This isn't any sort of review of the game itself, but oh, and I died. So yeah, so that's just a quick look at the system itself. See, I just hit reset and it didn't change anything, so yeah. Thanks again to Loopy for sending out this little device for us to take a look at. I'll put links in the description of where you can buy it. There's two stores you can buy it from. You can either buy it from an international store or from Loopy himself, and yeah, that's for the US, I think. So anyway, I'll put it in the description what you need to know. It retails for about 40 USD, so it's not too expensive. It's cheaper than buying a working disk system drive nowadays. So if you're interested in just messing around with the system or you want to do some homebrew development for it, it's a pretty cheap option. It's much cheaper than buying a backup system or anything like that, an old bung system or something like that. So yeah, so thanks again to them for sending it out. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. I do many more videos, kind of like this one, do reviews and stuff and how-tos and things like that. So yeah, until next time, see ya.